A recent audit by the Treasury Inspector General is causing quite a stir. The audit is revealing that the IRS gave out $4.2 billion in refundable tax credits in 2010 to undocumented workers. Now, that's a dramatic rise from less than $1 billion back in 2005. Now, what's not clear is how much of this results from fraud and ID theft. That's one issue. Another is whether undocumented workers who do pay taxes should be entitled to tax credits. We interviewed tax expert and former IRS agent Mick Schneider, who's outraged that these tax breaks have nearly quadrupled.
The IRS is there to collect money, and we need the money. So don't give it away to people who are not here illegally. You're just rewarding the people that are here illegally over and over again. If one person gets it, they speak about it and say, hey, I got this, and they tell their friends, right? And then you have the bad tax preparers that have businesses taking care of people that are illegal and putting illegal things on the tax returns, such as children they don't have.
That may be the rub right there. The bottom line, as a country, we're giving out mixed messages here. We're saying you're not allowed to be in the country, but if you are here and you're undocumented, and since you're here, let's go ahead and collect your money. Authorities point out undocumented workers don't have Social Security numbers, but they can get taxpayer ID numbers, and that opens the door to fraud. People buying numbers on the black market and then trying to claim child tax credits for children that may or may not even exist. The IRS tells us it's not their job to enforce a filer's legal status. And an IRS spokeswoman says this: the IRS administers the law impartially and applies it as it is written. If the law were changed, the IRS would change its programs accordingly. All right, we want to still try to figure all of this out. So we're going to turn to our producer who dug all of this up, Heidi Cuda. She's in the newsroom. So Heidi, when you spoke to investigators, what did they tell you?
Well, they did say that fraud is rampant. What's interesting is they said often the fraud is actually perpetuated on the undocumented workers themselves. They're being ripped off by unscrupulous tax preparers who say, hey, look, do you know you can get this money? Then they file 3 years back in arrears and only give, 1 year to the folks who they originally got the ID numbers from. Another thing is it's basically kind of the Keystone Cops out there. You have the IRS pointing the finger at Congress, you have Congress pointing the finger at the IRS, and the bottom line is it's a big, murky mess. Well,
but when we look at the increase, less than $1 billion 5 years ago, it's quadrupled. Doesn't that really point to some of these shysters out there who are using these ID numbers to rip off both the government, meaning us, and the undocumented worker?
Yes, it basically points to fraud. They noticed that within the last 5 years, these taxpayer ID numbers, those filing with taxpayer ID numbers are claiming these child credits. 72% of them are claiming the child credits. The problem is the IRS says we don't have any way to verify who's real and who's not, and what kids are real and what kids are not real. And they do have this black market going on where people are buying the socials, they're buying the taxpayer ID numbers, and it is something that is just really ramping up, getting worse.
Yeah, it is, and you wonder if it's not the IRS's job to investigate it, whose job is it?
Right. Well, like I said, they're pointing the finger at each other and there's been no resolution, and obviously we've got a law that was well intended to try to help people in low income areas, and of course now we're stuck with billions going in the wrong way.
Well, and then there's that whole question we started off with, which is the mixed message of being an undocumented worker, but then we ask you to pay taxes and you do pay taxes.
Right.
And then there are some people who believe that those people shouldn't get tax credits.
Absolutely. And you either bring everybody in, make it all fair and even for everybody and say you're here, let's give it, everybody gets their fair share, or you eliminate the tax credits for those with TIN numbers.
There you go. Yeah, that's it exactly. Heidi Cuda, thanks very much, our producer who's on this, who's going to continue to be on this because really this is all part of a campaign we have here at Studio 11 to uncover government waste. And we're going to have more on this as well as other cases. And when we do, we are going to bring them to you.